Hey everybody, how's it going? Have you ever had the problem where you're always getting two tracks from artists like rappers and singers bringing in songs from like YouTube, SoundCloud, MP3s and stuff, and it's like, oh man, it sounds kind of crappy, but maybe I can make it sound a little bit better? Well, I'm going to help you out today. Today I'm going to show you the PuigTec by Waves. And it's an amazing plugin like all these other plugins I've been showing you guys. The thing special about this one is considered like the magic piece of gear. While the actual version, this is the plugin version of it and it's modeled after it. So we can call this the magic plugin if we wanted to. This one's in the JJP collection and it's very, very awesome and cool. And let me just put this back to factory default real quick. The cool thing about this plugin is that you can use it on buses, you can use it on 2 tracks, you can use it on vocals, guitar, strings, kicks, bass, masters, and you can pretty much use it on anything. What it does, it just makes things sound good. It's the truth, that's all it does. It makes things sound really, really good. The way I'm gonna show you guys how I use this is I brought in this track that I did with my friend Naoma, and the song's called In My Feelings. I'll put the full track in the description below. There'll be a link in there. And what I did is I bypassed everything pretty much. I'm going to leave this compressor here, and I'm just going to leave this de-esser also. But all the sends and all the extra audio and auxiliary and effects all are bypassed. And then I'm just going to leave the compressor on the master here. But everything's bypassed except the PuigTec. And what I'm going to do first though is I'm not going to put it on here. I'm actually going to put it on the 2 tracks so you can hear what it does. The beautiful thing about this plugin is as soon as you load it, you can already hear a difference. Let me play that for you and I'll toggle the bypass so you guys can hear the difference, what it's doing. And right away, you can hear how the 2 track actually opens up more. You get a little more of that low end. You get a little more highs coming through. And it's really, really cool. Like, I did not move any knobs. I have it the way it just comes in with nothing changed at all. Let me go through this plugin and explain what it's actually doing. This PuigTec is a passive program equalizer. It's modeled after the Pultec EQs. And this one, the transformers in the analog gear, they're not necessarily a flat frequency response. They actually have a roll off on the low end and also on the high end. And the low end actually is determined by which frequency you have chosen here. The high end, it rolls off a little bit at 10K, but it's not a lot, it's very minimal. If I have this set at 100 Hertz and it's rolling off the low end there, it's actually rolling off from 1K to 20 Hertz, but the roll-off curve is just so subtle that it only goes down 0.2 dB. If I set this to 20 Hertz, then the roll-off is going from 1K to 20 Hertz, but it rolls off down to 0.3 dB, so it's a little bit more. The cool thing though is at 20 Hertz, you actually get a boost at 7K. It's really neat the way it works, just by moving which low frequency you want selected, it actually changes the characteristics of this EQ. But the boost at 7K is very, very subtle. It's only 0.4 dB, maybe half a dB. And when you have it to like 100 Hertz, it actually has like a small little dip of like 3K, but it's not really noticeable. It's like half a dB, if that. So you're not really going to hear it, but it's something cool to just understand how this plugin is actually working. So now let's dive into this a little bit more. First thing you have here is your in switch. And the in switch is saying, okay, you have the EQ in, it's active. When you have it off, there's no EQ, but you're still getting the model of this plugin. You're still capturing that sound, the characteristics of it. When you hit bypass, then it bypasses the entire plugin. You don't get the model, you don't get the EQ, you don't get any of it. All right, then you have this low end. And the low end is this knob, and this frequency switch here. Right here, you're boosting, and it goes from 0 to 11. And the 11 is actually the max you can boost, and that's 18 dB. The attenuation is 0 to 11, and that's actually 18 dB as well. And those both go off of what you select here, and it's a shelf EQ there, it's a shelf band. The thing about this plugin though is when you boost, let's say 9, and you cut 9, it doesn't cancel out. It actually does a resonant shelf. So they actually work together. And it'll be very difficult to explain what it's doing, but I will demonstrate it and show you what it's doing when I move the two knobs. So let's get these back to 0. Then you got your high frequency boost here. And your high frequency boost is the only one with a bandwidth that you can go from sharp to broad. And then you get all these selections of frequencies you want. There's 7 of them: 3, 4, 5, 8, 10, 12, and 16. And this boost goes from 0 to 11, but that doesn't go to 18 dB. That one actually goes to 20 dB boost, which is really cool to keep in mind. It goes a little bit more. Then you have your attenuation, which goes from 0 to 11. And that one actually is 18 dB. And your attenuation, you select it here, 5, 10, and 20. And then you have your mains, which is the analog emulation of the power supply, noise floor, and all that, like the other Waves plugins, which I usually set it to off, and you get 2 choices, 60 Hertz, 50 Hertz. Then you got your output gain, -18 to +18 dB. And then the last thing you have is your VU meter, which is in dBFS. Let's play with this a little bit and show you exactly how good you can make a 2-track sound with just something as simple as this. And you hear how much I'm actually boosting, and it's sounding great. It's giving a lot more low end. And I'm already boosting at 5.5. You know, the highest it goes is 11. So half of that is 5.5. 18 dB divided by 2 is 9. So I'm boosting 9 dB, and it sounds great. Let's pull some attenuation in there so you can hear what that sounds like. And you can hear, even though it's almost all the way attenuated, you still hear that kick coming through, but it's pulling off all that low bassy mess. And it's neat, you know, you can really do some cool little filters and effects and things and really pull out stuff that you don't want to hear, but still add low end. And that's really neat to keep in mind, especially when you're working with vocals and you need some body. Let's move these both together so you can hear how it sounds as well. Very, very cool. So I'm going to leave this about 5. Now let's mess with the high end and see what we can pull out of here. And I'm going to start at sharp, and then I'm going to move to broad. And you'll hear too is, you know, usually when you have a point, a sharp, a notch in there, and you're sweeping a frequency and stuff, it sounds weird, like, but it doesn't do that with this plugin, even if you boost a lot. Very, very cool. Now let's mess with the attenuation, and I'm going to mess with it over here. And it's really cool. Like, you just have a few knobs to mess with, select a couple frequencies, and I just made that 2-track sound a lot better than what it was. Now let me slap it on a lead vocal so you can hear what it's doing there. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to put this as factory default. And let me take off this mains. And here we go. Let's listen to what we got.
I can't face my pen and pad. Pen and pad.
Very cool. Let's add some body to her voice.
I can't face my pen and pad. Pen and pad. I ain't got too much to say.
And let's attenuate that a little bit because now we have a nice full body, but it sounds a little too bass heavy back there.
I can't face my pen and pad. Pen and pad, I ain't got too much to say. Much to say, so tired of feeling sad. Feeling mad, like yeah, I wanna feel liberated.
Very cool. So that's going to cut through this very bass heavy 2-track really easy. Let's mess with some of the high end. And I like this plugin especially on the high end because you can really add that air and then pull out some junk that you really don't want in there. So let's move this to the air section.
I can't face my pen and pad. Pen and pad, I ain't got too much to say. Much to say, so tired of feeling sad. Feeling mad, like yeah, I wanna feel liberated. Liberated. I can't face my pen and pad. Pen and pad, I ain't got too much to say. Much to say, so tired of feeling sad.
And I'm really boosting the heck out of her voice, but it sounds great. Love this plugin. Let's throw in the 2 tracks so you guys can hear them together and you'll be able to hear how easy her voice is cutting through on this track.
I can't face my pen and pad. Pen and pad, I ain't got too much to say. Much to say, so tired of feeling sad.
And all left to do is just to tweak a few little knobs a little bit more, add some reverb, delay, some ear candy, and then just really wrap this track up. So yeah, guys, I hope this really helped you guys to understand on what's going on with this plugin, how it works, what to do with it, and how you can use it. It's very cool. It sounds great. And like I said before, like it makes things super simple because all you really can do is boost 2 frequencies. So yeah, check it out, add it to your tools, make things a little easier for you. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment below. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask. You can follow me down in the description, you can send me an email or whatever. All right, keep creating music.